Every morning is an opportunity to connect with Jesus. Whether you're looking to get started or looking to grow more, DDPC is for you. Join us as we connect with Jesus together.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Tuesday episode of Daily Devotion with Pastor Chris. I am your host, Pastor Chris, and it is my thrill, my joy, my blessing to be able to be on with you today. Today is episode 907. And so I want to just thank you for being here on this 907th episode. Um, Please keep the people in New England in prayer. We got Hurricane Lee wreaking havoc and about to hit landfall here on the East Coast. We're here in Connecticut, probably going to be okay. We'll probably have some rain and some wind, but New Hampshire, Maine, especially Maine, is really looking to get hit pretty direct, as at least as of now. So we want to keep all those Mainers in prayer. Maine are tough people, so they will be okay. But we were getting reports from my sister-in-law last night, who lives in Leominster, Massachusetts, and that place is underwater. I mean, just flooded streets. They had a house that fell into a sinkhole, like the whole house disappeared. Amazing. Um, Cars underwater, people running for their lives, literally, sitting on top of their cars, waiting for boats to come and get them. So it's quite an event. And it's really crazy when I think about all of that. And I'm sitting on my back deck with a cup of coffee, streaming a live video, with you today. So, and I guess that's just kind of a wake up call that, every day that you have the basic creature comforts, man, it's a day to just be thankful that God has blessed you, because you never know what other people are going through or what they're facing or what trials. I have a family today I'm planning to go visit in the hospital. And, when somebody is in the hospital and they're in critical condition, it just kind of takes over your entire world, and consumes everything. And so, people have always got it. Some have always got it better, and some have always got it worse. So you can't look at other people's, garden. You got to look at your own and say, Lord, thank you for what you have blessed me with today. So anyway, today's a good day. The Bible says that today's blessed, and so we got to find the blessing even in the sorrow. All right. Well, that was the lesson before the lesson. So let's get into this 907th episode of DDPC, and I want to just share with you. We've been talking about, for all intents and purposes, we've been talking about having a soul that loves God with everything in it, with all your heart, with all your soul. And so we've talked about a lot of things, and we talked about staying in His Word and having a heart of praise. But I want to kind of remind you of something that we often, well, I shouldn't say we forget, but we don't what's the word? We don't really understand the magnitude of what has happened. And that is the fact that you've been forgiven. And I think propping your soul up on the fact that it's been forgiven it creates a lot of health for your soul, because oftentimes our souls are sick because we have only reminded ourselves of our failures. We don't remember the fact that we're forgiven. We get hurled back into our mistakes, and we just listen to our shame. But let me just say two quick things on this idea of propping up on forgiveness. The first thing I want to say is this, is that every soul that is listening has had to battle the shame game at some point in your life. And when you give in to shame, you will wilt from the guilt. That's just the truth. Shame will lead to guilt, and it will cause you to sink inward. And you got to understand that that is part of the enemy's plan. So, and he's so good at it that he even that it's even seeped into many faith practices to keep parishioners in a state of guilt and shame, because if the church leaders are in shame, if the church leaders are living in spiritual sin and living under that guilt and that shame, then they can't lead their congregations properly. And that's why you get knuckleheads that are out there right now that are, man, they've got big churches and they are spewing all kinds of absolute crazy nonsense. And I'm not going to name names on this stream, but many of you know some of these faith leaders that I'm speaking of. They say the most outlandish things, and they're completely heresy. So anyway, and that comes from the fact that you start allowing compromise. The compromise causes sin. The sin begins to heap shame on you, and so you still start feeling that weight of guilt. And there's two ways that people deal with guilt. One is they recluse. The other is they try to bring people on board. And they say misery loves company. So if you're living in sin, you try to justify your sin by seeing if other people are complicit with that, or walking alongside you in that, and then your feeling is, oh, it must be okay, right? So anyway, a little bit of a different track, but my point is that the enemy gets faith leaders into this trap. And so what we've got to remember is that that's not why Jesus died on the cross, right? Jesus did not die on the cross so that you could live under a yoke of shame. He gave us his life so that you'd be free from guilt and from shame. Galatians chapter 5 verse 1 said, it's for freedom that Christ set us free. So stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. John 10:10 says, the enemy comes to kill, steal, destroy, but I've come that you may have life and have it to the full. So that's soul food, right? If you want to feed your soul, feed it the word. The word says you're to have life and have it more abundantly. The word says you're not subject to sin, guilt, shame, and defeat, but that you have victory and you're an overcomer and that you have new life in him. So that was the first thing I wanted to mention about it, is that just as a reminder, is that your soul has had to battle the shame game. You have to fight that, but don't give in to it, because your soul will wilt under the guilt. But the second thing I want you to understand about forgiveness is that his grace is sufficient for you. Everybody has to face it. Nobody can beat it. But because of Jesus, you can overcome. And so it is a humbling receiving of the grace of God. God blessing you with things you don't deserve. That's grace, unmerited favor. So all throughout history, we have seen this happen, and many of you know people that were, crooks or cheats or prostitutes. Some of you were or know witches or warlocks or drug addicts or abusive, hurtful people, and they found Jesus and they were forgiven. Now, people are not always as quick to forgive as Jesus is. I mean, if you remember, Jesus had been hanging on a cross for 6 hours. After being beaten by a cat o' nine tails, having a crown of thorns thrust upon his head, being mocked as a king, and put a purple robe on him, and then they gambled away his robe, and people spat upon him and called him names, and betrayal, and the betrayal of his friends, and like he faced all of that, and then he hung on that cross for 6 hours, and then what does he say? Father, forgive them. So he's pretty quick to forgive, but people are not so quick to forgive. That being said, we all know people who've lived in these very raunchy lifestyles, like prostitution and demon conjuring, and drug addictions, and harmful and abusive behaviors. but they found Jesus and they truly have been forgiven by God. Now, how does that happen? It's not because they're good all of a sudden. It's not because they're worthy. It's because he is gracious. And if he's gracious to the reprobate, he'll be gracious to you too. There's plenty of reason for people to prop their life up on what they've done, like the bad things that they've done, and they define their lives on what they've done. And that's what makes grace so amazing, is that it doesn't define you by the things that you did. Grace defines you by the things that Jesus was willing to do for you, and that God is willing to forgive you of your sin. You don't deserve forgiveness, neither do I. None of us do, but it's made available to us. That's what grace is, blessing you with what you don't deserve. So we can't, we shouldn't prop our life up on our mistakes and always, well, I was a bad person, or I did this and I did that. And man, when I was younger and this and that. Listen, stop propping your life up on your past mistakes. Prop your life up on forgiveness that He has made available to you through His work on the cross. We've been talking about David in Psalm 19, and how David has just been a prime example of what it is to love God with all, and why he was called a man after God's own heart. And in verse 12, it shows us that David moves from the power of God's word to the he turns to the power of God's word, uh, because he's got problems that overwhelm him in his life. And so he says this in verse 12. He says, "How can I know all the sins lurking in my heart? Cleanse me from these hidden faults. Keep me from deliberate sins. Don't let them control me. Then I will be free of guilt and innocence and of great sin." Where is his freedom from? It's from understanding that I can't even recognize all the sinful behavior. I can't even see it all coming. Lord, I just need you to cleanse me from them. These hidden things. I call them spiritual blind spots. It's that part of the road that you're driving on that you just can't always see. And a wise driver, an experienced driver, will adjust mirrors to minimize blind spots. But because, you know even just because you can't see it doesn't mean you won't hit it. You know what I mean? Blind spots are dangerous for us when we drive. They're even more dangerous in our life. And so David is asking God to forgive him even of the blind spots, the sins lurking in his heart. And he desires to be made clean and made whole from the things that he cannot even define. One of the that's grace, man. God forgiving you, like, God forgive me from the sin that I'm likely to commit because I don't even know it's coming, right? And one of the greatest gifts that God gives us in life, though it doesn't seem like a gift at all, are friends that will surround you and will gently and kindly point out your blind spots. And that's a humbling thing, but you've got to be willing to let people speak into you in that way. Like, brother, you got bad breath. You need a mint. Okay, yes, that's humbling, and that kind of hurt because I didn't realize that I had halitosis, but thank you for telling me so that I don't offend you or other people without even knowing, right? It's a gift. It doesn't seem like a gift, but if you're humble enough to receive it, then it saves you from more shame, right? I was told one time, if somebody offers you a mint, you should probably take it. You know, how many times has somebody offered you a mint or some gum, and you just thought they were being gratuitous? They weren't. They were just trying to fix a problem. Maybe there's someone that you need to offer a mint to. Maybe they have a blind spot. But if you're going to hand out a few, you got to be ready to receive some as well. And reviving the soul happens when you've propped your life up on forgiveness and allowed the faults, seen and unseen, to be able to be under a magnifying glass, and let God deal with them, even though it can hurt a little bit. But understanding that those disciplines and that revelation is not to hurt you, it's to bless you. And that's what the Lord wants to do. He just wants to bless you. So that's part of soul care, is understanding that you're forgiven and living in that, understanding that everybody faces the shame game, and that His grace is sufficient for you. And so I just wanted to kind of encourage your heart in that today. Man, I don't know. I have a Wordle group. I play the game Wordle every morning, and I have this small group of people that I play with, and I was telling them in our, because we could share a chat, and I was telling them, it feels like today, like it's only Tuesday, and this week, like I have been so busy, I can't even keep my head straight. But it feels like it's been a long week already, and it's only Tuesday. So God's grace, right? So anyway, that's it. Instagram, thank you guys for being on. My phone keeps showing a pause for poor connection. I don't understand. I don't always understand the tech, but so thank you for hanging on in there. I want to say hello to you guys really quick. It's good to see you, Kelly Robertson and Brad Whipple. What's up, Brad? And Robin is on with us, and Kate Williams and Tom Keefe and Mark's Green Machine and Esther Grantham and Elizabeth Orlando and CB Fur and Scott Blakeman and Izzy Ortiz, Lavano, God bless you, Paula Lavish, Nancy, Dr. Desjarnette, good to have you on, Diane Riley, Matto, good to have you on, my friend. Over on Facebook and YouTube, we've got Tina Poe and Lauren Green and Eileen Toma and Kim Sikelski and Joe and Kim Zabrowski. That's funny. Kim Sikelski, Kim Zabrowski. That's a mouthful. Melissa Morris, good to have you. Gene Hickman, Scott Dolber, Jacqueline Campoli, Ramiz Yusuf from Pakistan. Good morning, my friend. Lenny Pace, my dear friend. God bless you. My dad is on from Arkansas. Good to have you on. Deb Click on with us today. Our YouTube scribe. Good to have Narda Allen on with us as well. Marty Main, good to see you. Cindy Wood, nice to have you on. Cindy, that's my aunt from Oklahoma. Good to see you. Denise and Yvonne LeBlanc. God bless the both of you. John Cookson on with us today. Jenny Lapone, Lori LaRue. Nice to have you on. God bless you. Let's see. Mike B on this morning. God bless you, Mike. I didn't see you yesterday, but they said you were on. Let's see. Who else is on here? Tara Menard. Wow, sorry about that. That's a very loud truck that just passed. Tara Menard is on with us. Anne Marie Griffith on this morning. Deidre Mitchell on today. Good to see you as well. Nick DeLugo, guys. Listen, keep praying for Nick. He's starting the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and just pray that they can keep that going all throughout Connecticut. It's an awesome thing. Rich and Carly Papsco on today. God bless the two of you. CJ Matt. Oh, you're on too. You're double dipping today, Chris. God bless you, bud. Oh, switch to YouTube because the Instagram kept freezing. All right. Fair enough. God bless you though, bud. Yes, Ramiz, I saw your message. Send me more details, man. Send me more details. And let's see. And that looks like it. So God bless all of you guys. Thank you for being on today. Have a wonderful and blessed Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless you.